What was your this person is on another level of stupid moment. I locked my purse with my keys and cell phone in my apartment. I went to the office to ask maintenance to let me in. The woman at the desk said she would call maintenance and asked for a phone number they could reach me at. I said there wasn't one because my cell phone was locked in my apartment. She insisted she needed a number. I said I could give her the number, but that I wouldn't be able to answer if they called. She suggested I get my phone out of my apartment so that I could answer when they called. I rolled my eyes at her and said if I could get in my apartment to get my cell phone I wouldn't need maintenance to let me in. She never did understand me, but maintenance did show up 10 minutes later. Update: since a lot of people are asking, you don't need a key to lock the door to the apartment, just to unlock it. On the way out the door, I turned the lock on the back of the door knob and then pulled the door shut, locking the door. I had put my keys in my purse because I was also carrying a laptop bag and a few other things. I thought I picked up my purse with the other bags but I hadn't. Yes, I know I was stupid for locking myself out. Thank you kind stranger for the gold. I got a concussion a while back. A friend of mine told me not to come close because it might be contagious. They weren't kidding. I worked at a restaurant and we had a dish that was just a whole grilled chicken, chopped into pieces. A woman who ordered for delivery called us, absolutely scathing, complaining that her order of one whole chicken only contained 2 chicken breasts. Had to explain to grown woman that chicken only have 2 breasts. Edit: to clarify, the rest of the chicken was also there. She was just expecting more than 2 chicken breasts. She stated this clearly to both me and my manager, who she insisted she speak to over this inconvenience. I had to explain to a girl why you couldn't grow your hair down in front of your face and just cut out eye holes. Even explaining it her she couldn't grasp it and brushed me off as being too smart. I worked at a pet store in college. This customer asked me which food would make his pit bull swole. I suggested a high protein food with a good amount of exercise, but advised that a lot of it was determined by the dog's genetics. He asked me if we sold genetics. Rescued a cow walker on the side of the road with a flat tire, waiting for the tow truck. I pointed out the nail at the top of their tire. They scoffed and looked at me like I was the stupidest person in the world and exclaimed, "That's not true, because it's flat at the bottom." I just walked away and never brought it up again. I was friends with a guy who believed those fake Apple adverts like Apple Wave, microwave your phone for instant battery charge. I was so dumbfounded that he actually fell for it. When I saw him the week after and he had a new phone, it all clicked for me. This was my first experience in retail where I learned what many customers would be like. Seasons were changing, so we put a lot of shirts we had to get rid of in the front and made them 50% off. I was working the register when a woman came up to buy her things. I rang her up and could see a look on her face like something was wrong. That's when the following happened. "Lady, why is this so much?" Me, "Pardon me? Lady, this should only be $10 not $20. I thought that maybe her item was on sale, so I asked if she could point out the sign because I wasn't aware of it. It was a small store and we didn't have to walk anywhere. "Lady, this sign here." Me, "This sign says that all shirts are 50% off." Lady, "Yes, so why is this full price?" Me, "This is a hat." I used to work with a girl who was sweet but so dumb. We were in a meeting once and somehow someone mentioned baked ham. My manager said, "Ugh, I hate ham. It looks like human flesh." The girl I mentioned was sitting next to me and looked horrified and whispered, "Does ham really come from people?" My wife's cousin and her husband / not baby daddy of her unborn child fell on self-induced hard times and needed a place to stay for a bit. We set up a queen-sized air mattress in the living room for them. For 3 weeks I woke up to go to work and every morning saw them sleeping on it sideways with their legs hanging off the edge. Then one day she asked me to buy her a bigger air mattress because this one was hard on their backs. I told her to turn her body. The thing even has a built-in pillow on one end. Her response was that then they couldn't see the TV. Then turned the air mattress to face the TV. That's the story of how I became an a-hole to the trailer trash side of the family. The bad part is that it's only one of many stories. The husband was a cook at Applebee's. The baby daddy was a cook at Applebee's, and her new husband was another cook from the same Applebee's, all working together. I worked at a meat desk for a summer job, and a woman came in and asked if we had any meat without spices or sauces. She then proceeded to tell us that the doctor had said that her dogs got sick because she kept feeding them pizza and they couldn't handle the spices. She then said, "Oh, but they love pizza so much, I feel bad for them. I'm probably still gonna feed them pizza." Knew a girl in middle school that didn't understand the concept of perspective. She also thought north was whichever direction you were facing at the time. Ah yes, true north. The time a friend told me how much he hates potatoes while eating french fries, and I literally blew his mind by telling him french fries are potatoes. Summer camp counselor made all the kids on a school bus keep the windows up on a hot day because they could feel the air conditioning coming from the front of the bus. It was so hot, and I, maybe 10 years old at the time, had to explain to the 40-year-old counselor that the air conditioning they were feeling was the wind coming in through the bus driver's open window. She still didn't believe me. I begged her to ask the bus driver to confirm the bus did not have air conditioning, but she didn't want to bother him while he was driving. It was like a 1-hour bus trip. She finally got hot enough and asked the bus driver if the bus had air conditioning, and he jokingly said the bus only has air conditioning when the windows are down and the wheels are turning. She then looked back at me and said, "See, I told you the bus had air conditioning," and proceeded to force us to keep the windows up. How much is a $50 worth? She was the newest teller my boss hired. Will never forget that moment. Had someone ask me, "Is Europe on Earth?" My sister asked if the Eiffel Tower was in Paris or France and couldn't understand how it could be in both. Edit. Whoa. My top rated comment is me announcing one of my sister's airhead moments, haha. I feel like I need to defend her now. This happened when she was like 14. She's 26 now. She went on to graduate from college and graduated top of her class. She later clarified that she meant to ask if the Eiffel Tower was in Paris or elsewhere in France, but she clearly didn't say it like that. She's gonna kill me when I tell her how much attention this got. Classmate was convinced that winning the lottery is 50% chance because you either win it / not. In last year of high school, corrected chance to chance. Apparently too much tea makes me half British. There was a girl in my high school who forced the teacher to pause a documentary about people living in mud huts in Africa because she was upset that they were showing us fictional movies in a history class. It took everyone else in the room to convince her that people actually live like that in some places. Wealthy area living for ya. I'm an identical twin and have been asked all manner of utterly ridiculous questions about it throughout my life. But I think the stupidest was when a girl once asked me, "Do you ever get yourselves mixed up with each other?" I responded, "Are you asking me if I ever sometimes think I'm my brother?" She replied, "Yeah. No, I don't. My brother and I used to work as grocery baggers. One day, we were working adjacent checkouts. A customer saw us and asked if we were twins. I answered yes, and her follow-up question was mind-blowing. Are you brothers? I work at retail. Had a customer a few weeks back pull her mask down to cough into the open air and then pull it back up. Really makes you wonder why there are people like this in the world. I can't use this, I'm left-handed. It was a shovel, and I was the idiot that thought a left-handed shovel existed. Edit. No, I wasn't trying to get out of working. I was literally that stupid I thought I couldn't use it. Edit 2. To give the story a little more depth. What happened was we were digging up the long jump pit in the shot put vector at my school to get it loose for the home meet, and when it was my turn to shovel, some upperclassman decided to pull a prank and tell me that it was a right-handed shovel, knowing I was left-handed. They sat back and watched the fireworks as I made a fool of myself. Once in middle school, I simply could not get the concept of the phrase "the day after tomorrow" through to a kid. He couldn't wrap his mind around it. Edit. It's well that many of you know the word "tomorrow." I'm proud of you. This incident was decades ago. I won't be sharing tomorrow with him anytime. We asked our classmate to prove she knew the 7 continents. Her list went like this: North America, Europe, China, The Pacific Ocean? I kid you not. She thought the capital of Saudi Arabia was hummus. I wish I could make this up. Edit, just to add on to this story and provide context, since it's getting more attention than I thought. When I was in uni, I was in this class and talked to a girl who sat next to me. One day I brought hummus to class and she was like, oh, that looks good. What is that? And I said it was hummus and she went, lol, don't you mean dip? Hummus is the capital of Saudi Arabia. And then I just explained to her that hummus is a type of dip made from chickpeas. Then I offered her some. We were class friends for a little bit, but I had to stop studying with her because we talked about Latin America and poverty in class, and she informed me that to cure Latin America's poverty, Peru should just get rid of Machu Picchu and replace it with a giant resort to attract tourists. That Machu Picchu was too old and no one cared about it anymore. I found new people to study with. Other than that, she was a sweet girl. She just was very ignorant on a lot of things. I grew up in a country where English is not the first language. One day in elementary school we had to write an essay in our English class. I wanted to score an A, so I added a beautiful sentence with some very elaborate words towards the end. The teacher marked nothing wrong, but that particular sentence. She said it wasn't grammatically correct. I didn't have the heart to tell her that I straight up copied that entire sentence verbatim from an English textbook published by Oxford. In high school I met a boy who asked me for a hygienic cloth because he thought he had a period. Actually he only sat on a melted popsicle. Going through security and the person says I need to show a different form of ID. I ask why, because I gave them my driver's license. They say I need a US document like a green card or something. I'm a US citizen. Then I realized. I explained how District of Columbia is long for DC, like Washington DC. As in the capital of our country. Thank you for watching. Leave a like rating if you enjoyed and subscribe for more.